Welcome. It's your boy Prince Casper here. It's on the podcast. We're representing, Edmondson Entertainment. Um, this is going into the inspiration behind ESS and Gas. Interviewing a lifelong um, CEO, founder. Um, he used to be a police officer. He served his community and done many great things and great achievements. We're just going to get into it, pick his mind, and go through the different things that he's achieved, and see how ESS and Gas is. So I'm gonna introduce my father, Craig Edmondson.
How's it going?
All
Trying to
right,
get comfortable here.
it's all right. So I got a couple questions here. We're just gonna pick his brain. Ask him some questions based off his different businesses, which are a lot of them are successful in past experiences. Um, Hopefully everything is clear and everybody can hear us. But I'm gonna get straight into it. I'm gonna look at the things. You got anything you want to say before we get into it?
Nope, you be the lead. Just tell me where you want me to go.
All right, bet. All right, so I'm gonna get the first question I was thinking about earlier. Um, Before we go into security, I just was thinking I wanted to know what really made you get into security.
Well, first of all, I wanted to start out with the acronyms of ESS and the acronyms of GA.S.
Hmm.
So ESS stands for Edmondson Security Solutions. We've been in the business ever since 2017. We're doing armed security and unarmed security, and we do events, dispensaries now, schools, high schools and elementary schools, middle schools. We also did some other work, such as special events like Black Excellence here in Jackson. We do a lot of variety of things. Security is it's such a broad thing because you can do so much in security these days. Gas is a company that I started afterwards, so that's just started this year, 2025. Gas acronyms stand for Global Armed Solutions, which means anything that connects to security, which is your innovation, your cameras, your specialty stuff that goes along hand in hand with security, such as canines and mobile trailers that have surveillance booms on them, where that you can drop them off at, for instance, a dealership where there's a boom that goes up in the air, has cameras on them, and also has speakers on it, so we can remote monitor whatever we want to look into, or whatever our clients want us to do. So all your specialties is within that organization of GA.S, and all your security and your personnel is underneath the Edmondson Security Solutions, which is your armed guards and your unarmed guards.
It sounds like you cover a wide range of security. You know, um, whether it be through technology or even just manpower. With boots on the ground. But my bad for cutting you off. You said
No,
what?
go ahead. I'm just listening. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying yeah, I think it's kind of cool that, not only did you mention, that you guys covered, the different things from schools to events, different things like that, but you also went into, how gas covers, with technology, the dogs. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Um,
it supplements the security. So I mean, to separate it is probably not a bad idea because gas is more towards your specialty people. When we hire people, we hire people that have the resume to do the job, right? So you get a resume, you see that their resume looks good, and they look on paper, they look good, so you hire them, right? Well, the specialties come into is, okay, what kind of specialty experience do you have? Like a lot of military guys are good at with security overseas, and the executive protection because they get the training they have. So with that training, you can incorporate them in the GA.S because they can do the executive protection part of it, which is your celebrities, your more close protection people that you get close to them, you transport them back and forth from the airport to special events to make sure they don't get assaulted, to make sure they don't have crazy fans that come after them. So these are specialty guys that you have to look forward to grabbing and pulling towards your organization So you got to make these arrangements for these specialty guys to come and work for G.A.S. And so, I mean, I could go on for days talking about G.A.S because it's like I said, it's all your specialty stuff that's outside of that security realm.
And that leads me to my next question. I'm glad you brought that up because I was just thinking, a lot of people, when you talk about different businesses, I'm sure the first thing that comes to mind is not security, but I wanted to ask, how important do you think security is, especially in this time frame?
Well, security is a growing industry, and it's always been a growing industry. Let me go back to my history. So before I even thought about starting a security company, I was a police officer for the Jackson City Police Department and I was in law enforcement for 27 years. I was hired on with the Jackson Police Department back in '94 as a cadet. I really wanted to be a police officer. There's a lot of things that pushed me towards the police field, and being African American, I thought that'd be not a bad idea. I grew up in Los Angeles, so I felt comfortable in that field. I didn't want to be in an office all day wearing a suit and tie and working on a computer. I wanted to be out and about and doing things with my hands and being proactive, right? Mm-hmm. So being in law enforcement, it kind of gave me that window of that operations as far as, creating my own environment as far as security is concerned and creating my own brand. I thought being as a police officer and learning all the field and police officer, the community service part of it, the networking part of it, the building that rapport with the community kind of pushed me towards owning my own business. Not just in security, but there was quite other things that I've explored and looked into as far as being an entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. Security just stuck out more because it was more gravitating me more towards the law enforcement realm, the unarmed security part of that solution. Security, like I said, is very broad. I mean, you can do so much with security. So now, during my career in law enforcement, it was easier for us to get out of our cars, mingle with people, talk to our business owners, get out at night, pull the doors, proper security checks, walk into businesses while they were open and meet their customers and talk to the business owners. It was easier for us to do that. Nowadays, with law enforcement, we don't have the opportunity to do that like we used to. So now we have to we're call driven as police officers. And you look in the world now, officers can't just get out and talk to people all the time like they used to. They can't just do the community policing things. Now they're call driven because now they're doing so much more with less that they don't have the time to stop in and talk to people all the time. They don't have time to pull doors and check businesses at night to make sure they're not, somebody didn't leave a door open or an employee didn't leave a back door open. Now, if somebody did walk by, they're going to find an open door and they're going and rob the place. So a lot of things change within law enforcement, which makes security even bigger. So if you look at law enforcement, I think I had the stats with law enforcement. I think you got 800,000.
I can bring it up.
Yeah, 800,000. I think I showed you before of law enforcement in the U.S. And you have like 850,000. And it might be a little bit wrong in security. So there's more security officers. And I think it's bigger than that now than there are police officers working the street. So you have all these individual companies that are incorporating this security force and everybody has their own brand, right? Mm-hmm. So my brand started a long time ago because I was like, okay, there's some things about security I don't like. I don't like the Barney Fifes. I don't like the guys that want to be cops. I want a security guard to go out there and actually do what they're supposed to be doing, like talking to people, hosting people as people walk in the door, more of a customer service base. There used to be lobby guards a long time ago. You walk into a lobby of a place, of a big corporation or organization, and you see a security guard there in a suit and a tie. And you know that's security because they got a little security patch here, right? You go in there and they greet you and they even tell you where to go or help you out and kind of give you that customer base friendly. A lot of our society don't have that anymore. So now people have to go outside of the realm in order to pay for that now. Because before, the police did a lot of things. They showed up. They did property security checks for you. They were there to sit around while your clients or customers check out, or if they have problems with somebody. Now it takes the police a minute to get to a problem now. Because they're tied up with some more priority calls. So if you have a problem or trouble subject, let's just say a homeless person, and you call the police, you might not get an officer to show up for like hours. You might not get one to show up at all. But if you have security based on where you're at, a security guard there, the security guard might be able to address that problem a lot quicker than a police officer is. Instead of using that police resource, you have a security guard that's in your business at your disposal to use them as you will.
Um, Going into, I heard you was talking about basically like how important the security was, and I just wanted to ask you how far do you think it can expand, especially now in this time frame? Like I know you was going into like how different the police officers and the security is, but I wanted to know like how much more do you think it can expand, as far as I know you was going into like technology and stuff, but like I feel like security can be a lot bigger than what it is, especially right now.
Again, security forces are a lot bigger than your government police officers organizations, right?
Hmm.
So me as an entrepreneur, if I want to sell something or I want, but I got to look for somebody that's taking care of my property to make sure I have that presence, so people don't come in and steal stuff. And when society starts getting bad and people start rioting and doing so forth, I want my own force to be able to take care of my investment, because that's essentially what it is. It's an investment. So if you're an entrepreneur, you own something, you want to make sure that that property is taken care of. So let's say a dealership. You have a dealership at night, and that you're closed at what 9 o'clock at night. So that dealership is exposed to anything at night, right? So
Hmm.
until we come in the next morning, let's say we come in the next morning at 9 o'clock. We close at 9. We come in the next morning at 9. So you got that window where anybody can come in and do anything. So if you have a dark dealership, you kind of open it up for somebody to break into your dealership or steal one of your vehicles in your dealership. So you got to think about how much money you're investing in your business, and you also got to think about, okay, what's that worth to me? Do I need somebody there at night to keep an eye on my property, to deter crime, to deter people from coming in and doing things they ain't got no business doing? And
Hmm.
a lot of people, and I'm kind of getting off topic a little bit, but a lot of people rely on cameras for a lot of that security, right?
That's what I was gonna say too. I was gonna say a lot of people rely on cameras instead of having actual force.
Yeah, see, a lot of people thought, okay, if you look at it, if I want to cameras, them good high quality cameras, I'm going to pay for that. I
Mhm.
know that because there's a lot of organizations I work with hand in hand to, hey, I don't do cameras, but can you come in and give my client a projected cost of what that's going to look like if they put X amount of cameras in their business? A
Mhm.
lot of businesses don't have that heavy load of paying that $100,000 or $80,000 for cameras, and these are smart cameras or whatever these cameras might be, but you have to have somebody on the other end to stop that. So if you got these high class, nice quality cameras up, and you video a crime that occurred at night, first of all, you got to be able to come in and see that there was actually crime that occurred if you don't have a smart camera. And then you got to find it on your video, or your client, your employees say, yeah, we got robbed last night. If nobody's telling you that, you're not looking for that footage of anybody, anybody's breaking in or stealing anything. But once you do figure that out, you go back in the camera, and you might find the crime. You download it, you record it, you put it, you save it on a thumb drive or whatever it is for the police to come. So when they come to take the report, here's another caveat of that is, who is the person on the other end of that? So just because we have a picture of a person committing a crime does not mean we know who that is. So now the officers got to do their due diligence, go back and try to find out who this guy is, and that could take months, it could take years, or they might not even find out who it is. But they do have the evidence of that. But there's nobody on the other end to respond to that. So sometimes if you have an alarm that goes off, you could have a police officer respond to that alarm, which they show up pretty rapid for alarms, especially in the town that we're in right now.
Mhm.
Um, as far as security is concerned, they can take that burden off the police. They can take that burden off of society by saying, okay, yeah, we'll show up there first, or we'll be there. And if there's something wrong that we need help, we would call the police, and then they would have to respond. Obviously, we don't have arrest powers like the police do. We don't have we can't do a report and chase people with a warrant like the police do. So therefore, there's certain cases where we have to call the police and have them come and do their job in order to lock in that conviction, or to identify certain people. So your trouble with subjects, your alarms responses, your sitting on site and deterring that crime falls underneath security.
I got a I got a question going into what what would you say to somebody that wanted to go into like further generations that want to go into security? What would you say for them to basically encourage them to go into it?
Well, there's a step further than that. I mean, before that. So people that are looking to go into law enforcement, they
Mhm.
usually start in security. Before I started in law enforcement, my career in law enforcement, I started in security. I was licensed mall security. Um, I also did Wolverine Dispatch, which was an armored car. I serviced ATMs. So I did
Mm,
those things to show that some certain type of responsibility that I had before I went into law enforcement, that I have the capability of carrying a gun and using it reasonably and having it reasonably. So I
mhm,
kind of laid that groundwork for a resume to show them what I'm capable of doing. So
mhm,
owning the security company, over the years, I've had plenty of people that start with me and later on get recruited by other departments. I had several people that work for me now that are now in law enforcement, such as corrections. There are various police departments, at least in this community, the Jackson County community, that are now working as police officers. So security is always a stepping stone for that law enforcement field. Even the Department of Corrections, I got guys that went to the Department of Corrections as well that moved on, and they're doing really well in that field because that's where they want to be.
mhm.
Security is always a good stepping stone for people who are in that who want to go towards that field.
Um, I wanted to ask you, like, what could you say to somebody to basically encourage them to be an entrepreneur instead of taking the risk of taking a 9 to 5 or something like that.
Well, when I think of that, let's see. So when I get stressed out, because it is a lot of stress to own your own business, to operate your own business, and you, especially if you're building it from the ground up, you have to be the one to make those decisions. And not
Mhm,
everybody can do that. Entrepreneurship is all about creating something, maintaining something, and making sure that you can take care of people, because that's what we're doing. We're taking care of people. So you really have to do your research. You really have to have that mindset that, okay, I'm going into this knowing that it might not be perfect, but I have to create something and make it, sustainable from here on out. Again, not everybody can do it, and I can't. For example, I had an employee who thought they could do what I do.
mhm,
Well, that doesn't always work. I mean, but I was willing to take on the fact of being an entrepreneur myself and going through the problems that I went through over the years. I decided to pass some of my knowledge to help that person out. Well,
mhm,
in doing so, that person still thought they can do what I can do. But on the same token, is you got to understand too, you got to have, if you're paying people, you're managing money, right? So you get these checks, and you can't fathom how big these checks can be. So when you finally get a check that's worth something that you never seen before, it can be very uh, it can be very it can blow your mind, because you're like, oh wow, I'm really
mhm,
doing this. But then you have to make sure that you have payroll every biweekly or whatever it is, a month or whatever you decide to pay these people. These people are working for you. They're
mhm.
working this job for at various sites and destinations, and it's up to you as the owner to make sure that money's there every 2 weeks or every month or whatever it is, or event that you're paying these people. And I think one of my employees who went that route, I think he forgot that one of the major thing that you have to do as an owner, and it's now catching up to them. But you know what? You can only show people so much, but when it comes down to it, they have to be the one that pick up the pieces and make those things connect and connect the dots.
Exactly. That's what I think. I was gonna go into that. Like, I know from the experiences, just from seeing, being around you, I see like, one of the biggest differences between being, let's say being a boss and just being, a regular person. I feel like it's about the sacrifices. A lot of people, they don't want to, make those sacrifices. Like, you wake up early in the morning, even being a boss, you got to think about the future, of how you can expand different ideas. And like I was going to go into, my next question was going to be, you know what do you think that makes you so different from other security departments that's around you that gave you such longevity? Because like you say, you've been doing this for a long time. What you said, 2007, right?
2017, yes.
2017. So basically that's longevity in it. And what they said, most businesses, like what they said, banks, they said most businesses people, they come up with businesses, but many of them, they don't succeed. It's only a small percentage of businesses that last, longer than, a year or longer.
Yes, this is facts. This is the truth. You're right. You got to be able to put the work in, and you got to be um there's no game plan that's written out in front of you and tell you exactly what you have to do. When I first started this business, I had to work myself. There's some nights I had to get up and go into a contract and actually work night shift and actually put in that work for that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just crazy to me. But you know what? I was able to get up, work that site for 8 hours or 12 hours, whatever it was, get off that site, come back home, get some sleep, and maybe even run back in there in the afternoon and work again. So it all comes back on you as an owner, is how hard you're willing to work.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's what says the difference between businesses. You have a lot of different family-owned businesses. You have different people that might want to set up a business or might want to go into certain positions, but like you said, it's that different between those sacrifices and those different choices between getting up early in the morning. Most people, they'll cancel work. I got to take a sick day. But it's all about waking up early. Thinking, planning out different ways you can better your position, better your business, other ways you can expand, getting contracts, like you said. Even I remember you was going into, as a boss, is different stresses. It's many different things that come with running your own business, and I feel like a lot of people, they don't understand that it's not always gonna just pop off as soon as you want it to you know but for the most part, you know uh, these businesses and these different business ventures, it's a steady grind. It's always you putting more and more time, more and more effort into it.
Yeah. None's for free. You got to put in that work. I hate to ran away real quick, but I think we're gonna charge
You
you.
okay? You all right?
I think I got the wrong one. But anyway, you got to put in that work. None's for free. You got to get out there. You got to grind. If you don't grind, things gonna fall apart. You can't save everything for somebody else to do it. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
Now, once you get started and once you have your brand established and you have the help that you need or the right person in place, then you can take a break and take a breather. Right now, I have a guy that's been with me since day one.
Mm-hmm.
And he's always been there to help me out. He's always been there to work, and take care of things and help me out. And he's like my number two. So
And
you can't
and
do it.
that's a beautiful thing too.
Again, I'm sorry. I'm just running around getting
You all
distracted.
right? And that's what I was gonna ask you too. Like, a part of having a business, do you think, like, in order for you to have the business, you have to have like people that want to work, or like people that want to be in that position to, want to be a part of a business or a family-owned position?
Again, it's not up to the people. It's up to you. You have to put that in place because you're the owner and nobody else can make that change for you but you. So you got to pick the right person. You pick the wrong person, then you can't rely on that person. Then guess what? Your business failed. You don't want your business to fail. You got to stay caught up on things and keep doing things you're supposed to be doing as the owner.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna pull up another question for you. Whenever you get ready, just let me know.
No, go ahead.
um,
Yeah, I'm seeing if this is going to work because it looks like
you,
it's charging, but
you're right.
We'll see.
Um, this next question, I wrote it down. It says, um, so it says, what are your future goals for your company, and where do you envision the next 5 to 10 years?
Okay, so that's a little tricky.
It's tricky. The next 5 to 10 years.
I envision to be. I envision like everybody envisions the growth, right? So you want to be able to grow. You want to be able to move to the next level. My next level is to put G.A.S where it needs to go, as far as global, and that's why it's called Global Armed Solutions. To take the innovation and the technology to use all of the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to grow ESS at the same token. So G.A.S is what's I made in order to pull ESS around the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's security companies around here, around the world, that also are big enough where they're overseas, and they're doing stuff overseas. They're doing stuff, for the government, which is your Securitas. I think Securitas is one. GS5 used to be the biggest security company because they had a lot of employees. I think they had like over 100,000 employees. But like I said, they were all around the world. So that's my vision, and I want to have a. There's so much stuff I want to do with security before I actually just say, oh yeah, let me just let somebody else take over and move on.
Uh-huh.
As far as I'm concerned, I don't want to be the CEO for the next 10 years. I
Mm-hmm.
want somebody else to step in my footsteps and start taking over, and coming up with their own their own energy to do things differently and to be maybe a better CEO than I am.
Mm-hmm.
So in order to do that, I have to keep moving in my direction.
I could definitely say this though. Just a side note. Um, ESS, and G.A.S, just ESS on its own, it's made a huge change, and it's put its own imprint in Jackson for sure. I know a lot of people, the different neighborhoods that you patrol, it brings a lot of order, to the chaos. And I feel like that's what security is all about, changing the community, and basically, connecting with the people, and that's what I see with the business that ESS brings.
Yeah, I like how you said that, connect to the community. It's important to me because I worked for this community for so long, right? So a lot of people know me. I have relationships that I've built over the years. Even working, security, I've also put my name out there as people still know that I'm still in this community. I'm still doing stuff in this community.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Black Excellence, we provide security for them every year because it's a good thing that they do when they pour into their community. So for me to be able to offer that is a lovely thing for me. We do a lot of different things for the community. We also partner with another community security company that we have personal relationships with. So with me, I think everything's about relationships, right? So before, when I was a police officer, I made a name for myself. I believe I made a name for myself. I know a lot of people in this city, in this community. There's still people call me today about stuff in this community. And I still try to give that special touch, or that special hey, you can call me anytime. Just if you have an issue, just call me anytime. I'll try to walk you through and help you through what you need to take care of. I still have a lot of people that I can contact. There's a lot of police contacts. I still know a lot of people in this community. So I have built a great rapport with this community, and people still trust that I can give them the same service that I gave them before.
I got another question. This is a pretty smooth one. It says, how has your company evolved since its inception, and what are some of the significant milestones you've achieved? And I know you achieved a whole bunch, just off of being a police officer, serving your community. It's many things that all the different achievements you've done. But I just wanted to get some that you did with ESS.
Well, so anytime you have an organization that you have created and came up with, so each phase is a growth spurt, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you went from one site to two sites to three sites and four sites, that's a growth. So
Mm-hmm.
with those sites come growth in employment. So you get more employees that's in your pocket, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you grow, not only you growing the business by the clientele and the customers you get, but by the employees that you add. So if you look in this picture you put up on Google here, it shows all the people that are working. We're putting to work in this community, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these are armed guards and unarmed guards. So you can see that we worked with another security company. There's pictures of training that we have here. So to me, we're taking steps. We're taking steps. So if you're looking at that picture there where it's got the big screen in the back of it, I could probably tell you we're probably the only that one. We're probably the only security company that has a Milo machine, which a Milo machine is a simulator that you use for judgment for shoot don't shoot scenarios or different scenarios, and we initially got that in order to train our employees and kind of see what their mindset is, and kind of keep them and train them about different things that we see fit. Correct, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
training on top of training. We're helping things. Those are milestones that we broke each time. So now we're not only we get the business now we're breaking into the training. We're breaking into the employees, and we're trying to teach them to move a certain way. To give our clients a certain type of service. And with security, you can't all your clients are not always like your guys that you send them. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and I know this from all the security companies that have the very same issue. So I'm a brand, yes. I'm a brand, yes. ESS is a brand, yes. And I created that brand. But when you send certain people there and they get complacent or they're not doing a job, clients are going to complain. Once they complain, you can do two things: remove that person from that site or make them better. I
Mm-hmm.
like to make them better, but I give that to my client. Hey, listen, this is a guy. Maybe you just don't know. Maybe we should change. Maybe we should have a SOPs, which is a standard operation procedure that says, hey, you got to get out of the booth every 2 hours to walk around the business to make sure it's secure, to be proactive. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you don't give people something to do, they kind of have to make their own mind of what they're going to do, right? And you don't want that. You want to make sure that it's not micromanaging them. It's kind of giving them a set responsibility, a goal that you set for your clients and your guards to do every hour. So every hour, I want you to get out of the seat, do a lap around the business, stay active, make sure the doors are locked, make sure that there's no breaches in the fence, make sure there's nobody sitting in the backyard that's not supposed to be back there. If they're trespassing, then we need to do something about that. We need to do something about that.
Exactly. And I feel like just having like even like for instance, like apartment buildings and stuff like that, you know how you guys patrol that and stuff. Like it's a huge difference between, not having no security and having security. When it's security there, a lot of people they're not going to be acting out. It's not going to be shouting or too much commotion. But without security, you're gonna have all type of things happening, especially at these different apartments or even at let's say venues, even different clubs. You have security guards and stuff out there too,
But
but
we'll just look at it. You there's been how many venues that had active shooters that showed up and started shooting people, right? So
yeah.
when you show a uniform present, you show preventative measures that you're taking as an owner to say,
Hmm.
listen, I respect that, the American people. There are some people out there who want to cause chaos and want to hurt people, and they want to go where there's a large number of people. So me being a responsible owner of a venue or owner of a concert, whatever it is, to take the extra steps to say, okay, I'm gonna pay for armed security to be here. So they have a resistance. If they did show up with a gun, there was some resistance that could either take on the guy or be able to mitigate those circumstances or mitigate that from being something really big or to something very small. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm. And I feel like that's what set the standard. That's the beauty. That's the thing that changes the regular standard. To have security somewhere, it just makes it from being from A to B. To
Right.
me.
Right.
But yeah, security is definitely important, especially in this time with all the craziness that's going on these days. But I'm gonna grab another question.
Okay. Okay. Go ahead.
um, it says, "What are some of the biggest challenges currently facing this security industry?" That's a good question.
The biggest challenges. My biggest challenge is just the client, making sure the client communicates with me, because if there's an issue that they don't tell me about, I can't fix it, right? So
Mm-hmm.
if they don't like an employee, that an employee sleeping on the job, or if I'm not hearing that information, I'm missing information. I can't tell you how we're going to mitigate that. So give me
Mm-hmm.
an opportunity to mitigate that and to fix that, to make sure we have things in place that won't happen. Because there's some things I might miss, and if I miss it as an owner, I want you to bring that to my attention as one of my clients. And I think it's not necessarily hiring quality people; it's hiring the right people to fit in, and the people that like their jobs and want to get out there and do something. And people just aren't just there just to collect a paycheck, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the biggest challenge. Just like the police department right now, they're having a hard time recruiting the right people or recruiting people to fill some slots that they have. So they're under staffs right now. They're looking for quality people, and it's just not out there like it used to be.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's everywhere. Like just with all the businesses and all the different jobs, I feel like it's a huge shortage of people, but we could talk about that all day.
Right. And I mean, like I said, there's like if you look at the news media now, there's so many people that are shut down, closing. There's so much going on out there. Do you think that there'd be a massive people looking for jobs?
Hmm.
But for some reason, we at one point we had so many positions. People were putting applications in, and we were calling them back, and they wouldn't call us back. And I thought there was something wrong. I was like, "What's going on?" Every person we called, they're not calling back. There's no. I thought that maybe there was something out there that made people have to put in an application, but they didn't have to respond to it or something. They're getting free money, or I don't know what it was, but it was just weird. It was just weird. We couldn't find people that wanted to apply for the job. And security, and that's another thing too. Security, and it depends where you're at in security. The pay could be okay, or the pay could be crappy. I mean, it depends where you're working. We're doing pretty good for our people though.
Yeah, I definitely believe we do good, but I just feel like, just like you were saying, man, it's a lot of people. I feel like after the C-19, like a lot of people, they would rather get paid at home, which is crazy to me.
Well, yeah, that's funny you say that, but there's a lot of people from these bigger corporations that make tons of money that don't want to go back to their office. They're saying, "Oh yeah, you come back to the office, or you lose your job." Well, they're not coming back to their office, so now they have to say, "Okay, here's the paper. If you don't come back within this much time, we're gonna see you packing." And but people aren't coming back to work. They're not coming back to work, which I think is crazy, but it happens, I guess.
Hey, that's what sets the difference between, that boss mentality and just a regular mentality. Like, some people, they okay with that type of lifestyle, but just like we go into, which is what I was gonna ask you, what encourages you, or what drives you, to basically keep going, as far as um pushing your business forward. What drives you to go on the next day, through the bad days, or when things is slowed down, or whatever.
That's weird. That's for me to hear that. That's weird to hear that. Because it's like it's how I'm bred. It's who I am as a person. That's how I always been structured to be programmed that way. Is to not stop, to keep going, and all the other stuff you see in business and owning a business. It always says, "Don't quit, don't quit, don't quit." So in the back of my mind, I have that "don't quit" mentality that I can't let go
Mhm.
because is there's a I visualize this painting right there,
Mhm.
and you might have seen it somewhere before, but there's these guys, they're picking at the dirt, but feet like 6 feet away or so forth, there's diamonds that are stacked up in that corner, and they're
Mhm.
picking. There, one guy just quits, and he's probably about an inch away from knocking the hole in the wall, and the diamonds falling through there. That's how I visualize this business. Is if I stop now, I won't get to that diamond. I could be just an inch away, and I'm just losing track and momentum, and all of a sudden my whole business just fails. So through all the bad times, I think about, okay, Craig, you're almost to goal. Why are you stopping now? Or don't stop now. You're almost there. And I think for me, I think a lot of people rely on me and depend on me to keep going to the next phase, the next step, because I think a lot of my guys, they actually like doing security work, and
Mhm.
but they like to make money on it too. So there's a lot of opportunity to make more money and to do more. So if I stop, I'm not giving them that opportunity. And I think that's just wrong as an owner, as a boss, or as a person that respects people and their boundaries and things that they want. When I had an employee that worked for me, he was about to get married. He's now moved on to the Department of Corrections, but he's engaged. He's about to get married, and he talked about, okay, yeah, I'm about to get married, and I need this and I need that. So I knew that he's going to need some financial
Support.
backup
Mhm.
support. Yeah. So I'm thinking to myself, what can I do to help this guy out? Now I have relationships in the community that I can. Okay, there's there's pro DJs, which is a good friend of mine. He runs DJs. He does weddings and so forth. I can hook him up with him to save him a lot of money on his wedding. And I was thinking about all the other stuff that I could probably hook him up with. But that's just who I am, trying to help people out and trying to get people where they need to be. And
Mhm.
he was one I thought about. But I mean, he went to the Department of Corrections, so he shouldn't have no problem getting where he needs to be, besides getting actual day off and enjoying himself.
So yeah, I'm just like, man, It's a good thing, like just hearing that, because I know a lot of CEOs or just businessmen in general, they don't really care about their employees. And just from like hearing you talk, it just like, oh yeah, you definitely care about your employees, you care about your business. And I think that's what sets you apart from a lot of companies, you know.
Yeah, but you also got to think too, and and I only say this because what happened to me recently is not only do you have to care about your employees to a certain degree, but
Hmm.
also to realize that your main focal point of running a business is your business, right?
Hmm.
So you can't help everybody through the door. This doesn't work that way. I mean, if you have an opportunity to get them help in a certain here or there, but just remember, your baby is ESF's first, because not you don't have one person working for you. You have more than one people, and not everybody sees eye to eye and sees the same thing, right?
Hmm.
So I got an example of an employee that I thought I was mentoring and helping and counseling and teaching them. Oh yeah, this is how you start security, and it was no big deal,
Hmm.
And I start allowing him, um, allowing him information to my empire and sharing it because I trusted him. Right, I trusted him. I also knew him over the years, and all of a sudden this guy gets his security license. I didn't really didn't care because there's enough security out here for all of us to gain that experience, to gain that wealth or that financial freedom. Not a
Hmm.
big deal. As I talked to this guy and was like mentoring him and giving him more information and kind of telling him all my problems that I have with the business that he wants to avoid, this guy went behind my back, talked to a client, it's not known what he really said about my organization or whatever, but he ended up stealing that contract from me. But I fault that client for not calling me and telling me, okay, yeah, this is kind of shady, and this guy did it. The client could have did that. I thought I had a good enough relationship with them that they would have did that. But no, that's why it's important for you to communicate with your clients and tell your clients not only just your expectations, but to know their expectations. So this guy goes and he, takes the contract. Again, I'm trying not to hold a grudge. This stuff kind of happens, right? You want
Hmm.
to help people, you want to move people forward, but this guy kind of treated me like I did something wrong to him. And I've helped this guy out. I've done things for him. I loaned him money, helped him but that's who I am, and I
Hmm.
can't let this stop me for moving forward, or I can't have that on my heart, being angry and mad at this guy, because karma is going to strike, and I know it's going to strike. I know that for a fact. I just need to sit back and watch the strike and just shake my head and keep it moving, right?
You ever heard of the term what they be saying? They say it on the movies. They be like, it's only business.
Right,
Because
right.
business is shady, you know?
But see, yes, it's only business, but on the same token,
It's
is
shady.
is that's not ethical. That's not
Hmm.
ethical at all. That doesn't show you as a person. That doesn't. Why would I trust somebody like that? Why would I want
Hmm.
to work for somebody like that? If
Hmm.
you're that shady, you're off the rails. You're off the rails big time, especially being an owner, because you can't be like that being an owner, because there's so much things out there that you're gonna have to make some ethical decisions. And if you're doing those right now, you're making decisions right now that are that wrong, it's gonna cause issues later on down the line.
Exactly. And that's what I was thinking too. Like, let me grab some more questions. But yeah, I just feel like, ESS is definitely doing really good as far as a business. And I feel like it's definitely going to expand more. I could see ESS, expanding further in other states, with more security guards and more people for sure. You know, yeah, I feel like security is going to be more needed, further in in this year. Even during the beginning of the C19, it was a whole different world. Things can change overnight quickly. And a lot of people is gonna need security, even in from apartments to what we was talking about, even small sectors of like, where is it, like when you coming inside a community and they got it locked down. That it's always nice when you got to go up to the cart before you can even get let in. You know what I'm talking about?
Well, yeah, there's a pause. Everybody likes to pause. I mean, um, you go to Florida and there's a lot of gated community. There's a pause. So if you come in my community of my people, we have a guard that's going to meet you, and he's going to ask you the questions: where you going, and who you going to see. And if you can't answer those questions, they don't let you in. It's
Hmm.
just that simple. And I think having that extra protection that's in front of you is great. Or having somebody walk up with a gun and then there's a guard to address that gun. Hey, why you got a gun? What's going on? Are you just walking through, or what? I mean, what are you doing? Just to have somebody question that, that negativity or question. And I'm not saying guns are negative, because I love guns and
Yeah.
guns. I'm a pro 2A person. So my thing is, but we're looking at history through America. You got active shooters, you got guys walking in schools, you got things going on, you got entertainment venues, and then guys are shooting from hotels, motels, or whatever. So you got to think about those things. So you want to make sure there's somebody to address those issues. You get what I'm saying? So you want to, once you have that buffer, because you got to have a buffer for things like that. So you go into an venue, you got that buffer to say, yeah, what are you here for? Are you coming in, or people don't like to address their own problems. Some people like to ignore it, but those things don't go away. But if you have somebody there that's paid to do that, you can always say, listen, we need this guy to go, and give that problem to somebody else who's supposed to be the professional in that circumstance. They can go and say, listen, man, you can't be here. These people, you can't be wearing this, or you can't be drinking here, and you can't be doing this. This behavior is not wanted. You have to leave. And then at that point, if it doesn't work out and the guy's just being a jerk, then it's probably time to call the police to get another layer of protection that's there to maybe possibly have the guy arrested for criminal trespass. And sometimes it helps to have somebody that has the education or the knowledge what you can do, because sometimes when people call the police, it's not all the police can't always do something about it. So those are just some of the things I can tell you.
I remember earlier you was talking about how you used to be a police officer, and all the different things that you used to do when you were serving. You say you used to be a security guard at the malls and stuff. What are
Yeah.
some of those characteristics that you got from those positions that you use in ESS and G.A.S right now?
So before I became a police officer, I thought about things that I needed to kind of start learning before I became a police officer. So I had a little bit of background of dealing with certain people, right? So that helps. I mean, you got to be able to communicate with people. I mean, not everybody you can communicate the same. Sometimes you got to change things up in order to get people's attention and to motivate them, right? So if you're screaming at somebody, you might not always get the same response screaming at certain people, right? Some people, you have no choice but to scream at them because it gets their attention, right? Or you lose certain key words like cuss words, grab their attention to make them understand that you're not playing a game. There's just some things you have to do with people. You got to fill them out. You got to build that rapport. Sometimes you can push people in the wrong direction, but being a security guard, you can't be pushing people in the wrong direction because you have no recourse. You know what I'm saying? So if you got somebody in the mall jumping and screaming and yelling, oh, blah, 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 this, and using obscenities and so forth, they're disorderly, yes, in the mall, because they're creating this contention and they're creating this disturbance between all these people that are visiting the mall. But the same token is your goal as a security is to de-escalate that, get that person moved on so we can go into business as usual. Being a cop, we're not taught to back down. We're taught to correct the issue and do something right now, right? So if you're screaming and you're yelling and you're being a jerk and you're creating all this contention and all these people are locked in on our conversation, most likely you're going to go to jail. And if you escalate that by pushing me or not doing what I'm asking you to do, you're going to go to jail, or you're going to be charged with whatever is applicable to your situation or your circumstances.
What are something that's like different between, like, let's say, what's like the biggest differences between being a police officer and being a security guard? Because I know you worked both backgrounds.
Yes, it's a big scope. It's a big scope. So being a police officer, I went through academy, right? And I learned laws, I learned procedures, I learned different tactics, different techniques. Security doesn't require all that, right? It doesn't really require a whole bunch of education as well. It's just that's like entry level. Security, I think, is entry level for entering the police academy or getting hired on with a police department. It's giving you that, what am I looking for here, right? Give you that perspective. Police, we have an authority to arrest you. We have authority to redirect you. We have a solution for you all day long because we have the law behind us, right? So if you're doing certain things that the law says you can't do, I have that okay, if you don't respond to me, if you're not following what I'm telling you today, I can arrest you. I have that solution, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
if you're driving down the street and you're driving too fast and I stop you, I have the right and the privilege to write you a citation for that speed or have a verbal conversation with you. And if you're, I'm sorry, officer, no, I was speeding. I probably should have slowed down and, accidents happen. And I could say, okay, yeah, I'm gonna give you your pass. I'm gonna give you a pass because it's the first time I ever dealt with you and you sound pretty remorseful that you won't be doing it again and let you go. So there's a lot that a police officer can do. Security is not the same way. But
Mm-hmm.
as a security on property, I have a right to say I don't want you here. Because I have a contract saying, hey, listen, you're not supposed to be at this property. I'm the only one that's representing this property at night. So I can tell the officers, hey, listen, I have the authority to say, hey, listen, I want you to leave. And then obviously the officer can arrest you for trespassing if the security guard say, I want you to leave, right? Because we have the full authority for that property to say, hey, we want someone there or we don't.
All right. I got another question going into the security, basically saying, oh yeah, this is a good one. Um, it says, can you share a story of a particularly challenging situation your company handled and the outcome?
The security company or the police stuff?
Security.
Uh, so with security, we got to mitigate a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly, my mitigation is mitigating risk and issues. So, in order for me to lock in on my contracts, I have to have that report, and the report comes in when employees just don't, when they're not doing what they're supposed to do. So if a client calls me and says, "Listen, this is like the second time this employee is not doing what I want them to do. They're not getting up and opening the gate quick enough. They're not responding to, walk around the building to make sure somebody's not in the back." That's usually most of my issues, right? So I
Mm-hmm.
gotta say, okay, so I gotta show up, I gotta talk to the employee, figure out what's going on, why he's not following the SOPs, have a conversation with him to mitigate that issue. And if he does not respond to my training, it's time for me to hire somebody else or move him somewhere else and see if he fits better somewhere else. Now I don't have to do that, but I do just to give somebody a chance because not everybody's a match, right? So not everybody's got the right employee. So we mitigate that. We get that quite often. I did have an employee who just didn't get it, and he thought he was doing everything right. But then when it came down to it, and I had a conversation with him, he didn't get it. He just was like, you know what? Screw that client. Well, it doesn't work that way. The client pays the client pays your bills. All they want you to do is look a little look a little like you're important or look a little proactive, busy, be busy a little bit. And if that's all I'm asking you to do, that's the simplest thing. Security work to me is not that hard. It's not a very hard job. It doesn't require a lot of knowledge. It doesn't require a lot of things. I expect my guys to try to, I'm like, if you give me 8 hours, at least give me something, show me something. We have a software that mitigates that issue for people that don't want to work, right? So if I say your SOPs is get out and walk around the building every hour, every 2 hours, every 30 minutes, I see that. I get that response from my phone that I can say, okay, yeah, I can go to the software, I can follow you around the perimeter, right? To make sure you're doing your job. So if I have a problem with an employee that's not doing what he's supposed to do, following the SOPs, I can watch him whenever I want and see him walk around the property, see him making his logs, making his. Now, if he's not doing that, then I know he's not responding to my SOPs. He's not doing it, and he just don't care. And therefore, if he don't care, it's time for me again to step in and make things happen, right? So for me, that's challenging because I expect people to do what they're getting paid to do, right? And I don't want to be up behind you, micromanaging, and make sure that you're doing your job. I'm not like that. I'm a person. I'm a person just like you are. But at the same token, is I'm not going to allow you to make my brand look a certain way that I don't want it to look.
True. And the more and more you think about it, it's just like, I got another question though. I wanted to ask though, besides security, besides ESS and gas, is there any other business ventures that you were thinking about, or have you thought about going into anything else besides security?
Yeah, it's kind of up in the air. Transportation. What I like to do for gas is I like to add transportation on that. I like to do like the executive protection transportation, pick people up from the airport, drive them to a certain location, or if other EP guys come into this county or close to it and they need a certain vehicle to pick them up and a professional driver, I would send a driver over there to pick them up and work with those teams because there's a lot of executive protection teams out there and they like transportation. I like to be the guy that when they show up in Michigan and they want a driver or whatever, that I'm able to send them there and do that. So, but that's just only an add-on to gas, not necessarily a transportation business like logistics and all that. But no.
I could definitely see that though. Like, I mean, shoot, I know a lot of people. I mean, I think I will even like that. I mean, how cool will it be? You know, you step out of a limousine, you got two guys. You know, they protect it. You know, ex military. You know, and they take you where you need to go. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I've been researching a lot of guys that are out there. Now they have an app, and a lot of the guys don't like the app, but it's an app. I think it's out of California, and there's somewhere else I can't think where it is. It's an executive protection app. You go on the app, and I don't know much about it, but you go on the app and you can pick out who you want to be your executive protection close quarters crew, and you can pick them out yourself, and then you give them a detail, and it goes from there. But it's an app that does that now. So there's also another app too for transportation, an armed driver to transportation, and he's not your Uber, he's not your Lyft. He is actual armed guard to pick you up, your kid, your wife, or whatever, and escort you and drive you, wherever you want to go. And it's out. I think he's out of Atlanta, Texas, Houston, Texas, and I can't remember where else he's out of, but he's a young guy, and he came up with this concept. And he also has an app you download, and if you need a ride, you just show it. So I know there's been issues with Lyft and
Uber.
Uber, and
Mm-hmm.
he's actually shown a lot of things that happen with those different companies, and he made his little skits and commercials about these things and why you want a safer experience. Just like there's a lady who's online who was a rapper out of Detroit who's complaining about, I don't know if it's Lyft or Uber, I don't know which company it is. They said that she couldn't get in her car because she was too big or whatever it was. I don't know what it was,
Yeah,
but she's
I
suing
know
for
what you're
that.
talking about.
So it's all these issues that you have with these cars, and these companies are using that, saying, "Oh, these are the issues, and we can do better." And I think if you can mitigate those things, more power to you. And this guy, he seems like he knows what he's doing. He's picking up people from his app, and his guards are armed and they're professional and they're driving you where you need to go, airport. I mean, I know if I had smaller kids and needed help, I would call him to come and pick my smaller kids up and transport them to their mom's house or whatever it is. And that's what they do. And I think that's probably not a bad thing, have someone pick up your kids. Let's just say if mom and dad they're getting a divorce and mom is and dad just don't get along, and every time they hook up, there's just all this fighting and nonsense is going on. But to hire somebody like that's professional, and he hires a bunch of military and retired police officers to do the transports. Nice vehicle. Why could you have? Hey, okay, I need you to come over and pick up my two kids, me, mom, and drop them off. I'll pay you and get out of the way. I think that's a smart thing to do.
Even for like court cases, witness protection, all type of stuff.
But I don't know about witness protection.
Not witness protection, but I'm just saying, like, just like people that's like, let's say, people that got stuff going on, in the streets or whatever.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I've done some transports where a guy had problems with potentially somebody that's violent. One of the people that were involved in this situation was badly assaulted. So this guy wanted to call me and take my services and for transport and to take him to the courthouse, him and his partner. And that was pretty, I actually liked it. It was pretty cool. So that's what I would be moving towards, the executive protection part of it, the transport part of it. But like I said, I wanted to kind of move towards find out all these different teams. And I started doing that already, finding all these little different teams that are around the world that might want to come to Michigan or maybe in Texas, because we have a spot in Texas that we're thinking about going to, or Nashville, that we would show up in maybe a SUV, pick up the team, pick up the client, and escort them to a concert or whatever it might be. So that's the future. I see that coming shortly. down around our way.
Yeah, that definitely will be pretty cool. I think a lot of people would be, into that or interested in that.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
I wanted to ask you, what do you think like is the highlight or just the best part of your job between, ESS and gas? What's like, what makes you, like, oh yeah, this is the best part of the job.
You with me, I think everything is the best part of the job because I'm this far and I can look and see, okay, yeah, my guys are working. So 24
Mhm.
hours a day, I have people working, and and knowing I got guys out there working, the company's actually growing, right? So if the company's growing and people are working, it's something I built. It's my empire. It's something I worked hard on, and things are going really smoothly, right? Because nobody
Mhm.
likes things that aren't going smoothly. So I got guys working in schools. I got guys working in dispensaries. I got guys working cultivation centers. So knowing that we got all that going on and people are working, it's a good feeling, right? It's my baby that I made created and made it bigger.
Mhm. Yeah, I was gonna say because just off that, I know you a father too, so it's like that's your baby, the business.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
But it's definitely it's great doing this show. I definitely want to come back to this where we have another interview and I have more questions. We talk a little bit more going into the business,
Go
but
ahead.
we could close it out a little bit. You got anything you want to add or anything you want to say before we.
Yeah, being an entrepreneur is a big thing. It's a big thing because you're saying, oh, listen, I either want to be a boss or I want to be an employee. And if you look online, they always talk about that. I want to be a boss. You want to be an employee.
Hmm.
So they all have issues, but how big of an issue you want, right? Is what direction you want to go. I knew I wouldn't be. I don't want to be a worker all my whole life. I wanted to be the actual guy that's up there, and I want to learn something new every day. I want to be able to, and being a boss is about having challenges, right? And I
Yeah.
think Damon Dash talks about it all the time. Being a boss. If you're not paying yourself and you got someone that's paying you, then you're not the boss, right? I want to be the boss because I'm putting something together on my own. I have my passion. I have a passion in security because I came up as an officer for 27 years. I have a passion for security. These are things that I'm familiar with. These are the things I can mitigate because I have a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of experience of being a police officer. And this is where we're getting into. Okay, how can we make things better? And I can go on for days, and I don't want to drown you out for this
Nah,
first.
keep going. Shoot, I mean, I'm enjoying everything you saying. Shoot, I'm sure the viewers are too.
It's either one way. You either work hard for yourself or work hard for somebody else. And I get it. At first, you want to work hard for someone else because you don't know the blueprints. You don't want to be stressing. You want to have a steady paycheck. But if you go out there and do the same work that you're doing right now, you'll find out that it's the same exact same stuff you got to do as a boss. So you might as well be a boss.
Right. And at the end of the day, I mean, it's okay. Like you do have the worker bees, it's okay. Certain people are okay with being the worker bee, and there's nothing wrong with that. You
No,
need bosses, you need worker bees, you need all that. But for the most part, I feel like it's a huge achievement just to be able to say, you know what? I'm going to create my own business. I'm going to be a CEO. I'm going to be the boss. Nobody's going to tell me. You create your own hours. You set your own employees like that. You're in full control, and that's
it,
just a good feeling.
it's a grind all by itself, right? So you,
Mhm.
you never know what you're gonna have to do. So whether you got to work night shift, day shift, or whatever it is, you got to be able to mitigate that. You got to be able to say, okay, yeah, I can throw myself into that. I can make that work. Because bosses, there ain't no sleep. It sleeps for the week. I mean, There was one time I heard this Beyonce. She was in the concert. She was all committed to what she was doing, and she was locked in. She
Mhm.
was so focused she forgot to eat. Right, and there's
Yep.
some times my wife does the same thing. She works so much and she's so committed to what she's doing, she forgets that she has to eat. So she goes, you know what? I didn't even eat today. She had to take a minute to realize that she didn't eat. But those are the things that we're doing constantly. As you're saying, oh yeah, this is that important to me that I'm cutting out food for the day. I'm not eating. I'm committed to making this work. So you can either work hard for yourself or work hard for somebody else, but you got to do it one way or another. You might as well be the boss.
And that's all. That's that commitment. Like I mean, I was thinking about that like earlier. Just it's different things that you could do to make your life better. Waking up earlier in the morning to start your day. Meditating on different ways you could better yourself throughout the day. Even you know uh exercising. Watching different videos of other people that's in the same venture. How they're expanding. Just different things to better yourself is always how you're going to excel in life. Because everybody else is okay with the bare minimum. A lot of people, they're okay with the little things of life. And I know me and you both, we want the best. We want the better things, even if we have to sacrifice sleep, eating, whatever. We just want to go hard. you know
Yeah, it's just like you actually going out and doing this podcast. You talked about it for a while. Now you're doing it. Now you're coming up with the content, the information, but you're doing it. But then
Mhm.
you look online and you see all these other people doing podcasts, and you say, "Man, it's easy." But no, it's not easy. So you got to put foot in front of the other and go and do it. And not
Mhm.
everybody's making money, but they're at least doing it, right? So
And
if
it
you make
costs money to make money.
right, it's a conscious effort of doing a lot of things that you might not want to do, but you're doing it, and
Mhm.
that's the important part. If you're not doing it, you ain't doing it.
Mhm.
You
It's
ain't
all about sacrifices.
it definitely is a part about that. That's for sure.
So yeah, man. It's the inspiration behind ESS and Gas. Craig Edmondson, the
It's
founder, the CEO.
it's
You know.
definitely there's definitely a background on that. I mean, it's definitely a background on that. I mean, I wasn't always the guy to say, "Yeah, I want to go out and create my own business." It had to be a mindset, right?
Mhm.
So being working in public safety was just public in the public sector and working being a police officer for all those years. It's a different type of mindset. It's not like working for somebody at a garage or whatever it is. It's just over the years I came up with this mindset that okay, I like the public sector, but I want to do this. This is what I want to do. Make this bigger. I want to do something so much. I got my mindset on making something bigger and
Mhm.
better, right? And it just had to be the security industry. I just wanted to get involved in that. I wanted to be I want to be a trendsetter. I want to do something different, and it's gonna take a while.
Mhm. But even with when you was a police officer, even in security, I feel like you excelled all the time though. Like even with me, like like we work hard for the things that we want or that we do. We go hard for it, but I feel like it's not really hard to like stand out, for these different things that we set our mind to.
No, but success comes with a lot of failures.
Hmm.
You fall down, you get up. You fall down, you get up. You keep moving, and as long as you're gonna keep moving, you might as well get the reward for it, right?
Hmm.
So if you don't get up, and that's where the problem comes. If you don't get up, you start failing, and you just let it overwhelm you or take you down. That's why the mindset of keep going and don't quit is so big with me, and it's probably big with a lot of people now because you hear it all over the place. Don't quit, don't quit. You might get to that last inch where the goal is gonna fall out, and if you do stop, you're gonna find that out. You'll never find out. It'll be gone.
So yeah, man. I mean, I feel like we definitely should do a part two to this because it definitely was a good one.
Let's
But
do it.
and all in all, I feel like it was a great lesson. Everybody that tuned in, thanks for everybody that tuned in and watched. You know, keep going. What could you say like just to end off? To anybody that was watching.
Find a niche, something you like to do, something you have passion for, and go after it. And don't stop until you get there.
Yeah,
Those are
that's
probably the best advice I can give you.
that's definitely a good one. Keep going, keep going.
Don't quit. Don't quit.
All right, so we're gonna close it out. Thanks everybody for tuning in. This was a interview with Craig Edmondson. You guys have a good one. And tune in. When you want to do the next one? You want to do it Wednesday, or we could do it tomorrow? It's up to you.
Uh, we can probably do it tomorrow. Just let me know.
All right. Well, tomorrow we're gonna have another another talk, another session, another podcast, and hopefully this was a good one. Tune in tomorrow. We see you guys again. Have a good one.
Peace.